The research ship Harmony floated in the empty darkness of space like a dying whale. Its once bright blue hull had faded to a sickly gray color, and the beautiful patterns that covered its surface barely glowed anymore. Inside the ship, 12 alien beings called Varians were slowly dying. Chief Navigator Zathera pressed her four thin hands against the control panel, trying to make the failing systems work. Her large, dark eyes reflected the dim emergency lights as she struggled to keep the life support running. The air was getting thinner with each passing hour. The temperature kept dropping. Captain Valan lay on the bridge floor, too weak to stand. Her people were peaceful by nature. They had never built weapons or fought wars. Instead, they traveled between stars to study new worlds and share knowledge with other species. Their ships were grown rather than built, made from living materials that could heal themselves and adapt to different environments. But now their beautiful ship was dying, and they did not know how to save it. 3 days ago, the Harmony had been attacked by pirates. The raiders had hit them with some kind of weapon that poisoned their ship's living systems. The biological computers that ran everything were shutting down one by one. Soon, there would be no heat, no air, and no hope. "We must send a distress signal," whispered Captain Velen. Her voice was so quiet that Zathera had to lean close to hear her. "Send it on the Alliance frequency. Maybe someone will come." Zathera's hands shook as she programmed the emergency beacon. The Varians were members of the Galactic Peace Alliance, a group of peaceful species that helped each other and shared technology. The nearest Alliance base was 17 light-years away. If they were lucky, a rescue ship would arrive in 3 days. If they were very lucky, the distress signal burst out into space, carrying a simple message. "This is the research vessel Harmony. We are dying. Please help us." The signal traveled faster than light, racing through the darkness toward the Alliance base where help might come from. But space is vast, and signals can travel in many directions. 8 light-years away on a human cargo ship called the New Boston, Communications Officer Jake Murphy was having a boring night shift. He sat in the small communications room, listening to static and checking emergency frequencies. It was 3 in the morning, ship time, and most of the crew was asleep. Jake was 26 years old, with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been working on cargo ships for 5 years, hauling goods between human colonies and space stations. It was not exciting work, but it paid well. He liked traveling between the stars. The New Boston was not a beautiful ship like the Harmony. It was made of metal and looked like a flying box with engines attached. The hull was gray and covered with dents and scratches from years of hard work. Inside, the corridors were narrow and the rooms were small. Everything was built to be cheap and practical. Captain Lisa Rodriguez ran a tight ship. She was 42 years old, tough as nails, and had been hauling cargo for 20 years. She had black hair streaked with gray and dark brown eyes that missed nothing. Her crew respected her because she was fair, smart, and always kept them safe. One of the things Captain Rodriguez insisted on was monitoring emergency frequencies. "You never know when someone might need help," she always said. "If we were in trouble, we would want someone to come for us." So Jake sat in his chair, listening to the empty static between the stars. When suddenly the alien signal crackled through his headphones, the message was in a language he had never heard before. But the ship's computer quickly translated it. The words appeared on his screen. "This is the research vessel Harmony. We are dying. Please help us." Jake's heart started beating faster. He checked the signal's origin and found coordinates in a nearby star system, only 8 hours away if they pushed their engines hard. He could hear the fear and desperation in the alien voices, even through the translation. He hit the emergency button that would wake Captain Rodriguez immediately. "Captain Rodriguez, to the bridge. We have got a situation." Lisa Rodriguez was in the communications room within 2 minutes, still putting on her uniform jacket. She was followed by First Officer Carlos Martin, a tall man with dark skin and calm eyes who had served with her for 10 years. "What do we have, Jake?" the captain asked. Jake played the distress signal. Translated words filled the small room. "This is the research vessel Harmony. We are dying. Please help us. Our ship is failing. We have 12 crew members. We do not have much time."
"Please, if anyone hears this,
We need help.
Captain Rodriguez?
Studied the coordinates on the screen. The signal was coming from the Kepler 442, a place where no human ships usually traveled. She had never heard of these variants before, but that did not matter. Someone was in trouble, and they were close enough to help. How long to get there? She asked Carlos. Carlos quickly calculated the distance. 8 hours at maximum burn, Captain, but we will use a lot of fuel. Lisa Rodriguez had spent her whole life following the rules of space travel. The most important rule was simple. If you hear a distress call, you help. It did not matter what species they were or where they came from. When someone was dying in the darkness of space, you went to help them. All hands, this is the captain, she announced over the ship's communication system. We are changing course to assist a vessel in distress. All departments prepare for emergency burn. This is not a drill. Throughout the New Boston, 37 crew members woke up and got ready for action. Chief Engineer Danny Park, a young man with red hair and grease-stained hands, started pushing the engines harder than they were designed to go. Dr. Amy Sullivan, the ship's only medical officer, began preparing her small medical bay for possible patients in the cargo holds. Workers like Pete Washington secured the freight so nothing would break when the ship accelerated. Pete was a big man with dark skin and strong arms who had worked on cargo ships his whole adult life. He and his team made sure everything was tied down tight. The New Boston turned toward the Kepler 442 system and began to accelerate. The engines roared as the ship pushed through space faster than it was supposed to go. Inside, the crew felt the artificial gravity fluctuate as the ship strained against the laws of physics. Captain Rodriguez sat in her command chair, watching the stars shift on the main screen. She did not know anything about the aliens they were going to help, had never heard of their species or seen their technology. For all she knew, they could be dangerous or hostile, but none of that mattered. Someone had called for help. The New Boston was going to answer. What Captain Rodriguez did not know was that the Varians had specifically avoided sending their distress call toward human space. In the Galactic Peace Alliance, humans had a reputation as a dangerous species. They came from a death world where everything tried to kill them. They had supposedly become violent and unpredictable as a result. The Alliance had files on humans that described them as aggressive, territorial, and prone to violence. Peaceful species like the Varians had been warned to avoid contact with humans whenever possible. They were considered too dangerous to be trusted. But the Varians were dying. Their carefully aimed distress call had scattered through space. In all directions, the human cargo ship had picked up their signal by accident. And now, the very beings they feared most were racing through space to help them. As the New Boston flew through the darkness toward the failing alien ship, neither species knew that. This meeting would change everything both sides believed about each other. 8 hours later, the New Boston dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler 442 system. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge looking at the main screen as their sensors found the alien ship. What she saw made her frown with concern. The Harmony was unlike any ship she had ever seen. Instead of metal and straight lines, it looked like it had been grown rather than built. The hull curved and flowed like the shell of some enormous sea creature. Beautiful patterns covered its surface, but many of them were dark now, and the UC ship was spinning slowly as it drifted through space. "My God," whispered Carlos Martin. "Look at those damage patterns." Chief Engineer Danny Park studied the sensor readings from his station. The young engineer had seen plenty of damaged ships in his career, but this was different. "Captain, those are not meteor impacts. Someone shot at them." The scorch marks on the alien ship's hull were clearly from energy weapons. Whatever had attacked the Harmony had hit it multiple times before leaving it to die. Lisa felt anger rise in her chest. Pirates most likely attacking a peaceful research ship. "Can we help them?" she asked Danny. Danny's fingers flew over his controls as he analyzed the alien ship's systems. What he found surprised him. "This is incredible, Captain. Their whole ship is alive. Is like a giant organism. The computers, the life support, everything is biological. Can you fix it?" "Maybe. The damage looks like some kind of poison that is killing their systems.
Oh.
But I think our mechanical parts might be able to interface with their biological ones. It is worth a try. As the new Boston moved closer to the Harmony, panic spread through the alien crew. The Variants had spent the last 8 hours expecting to die quietly in the darkness. Now a ship was approaching them, but it was not the rescue, a vessel they had hoped for. Through their failing sensors, the Harmony looked like a weapon of war. Its angular metal hull was covered with what appeared to be gun turrets and missile launchers. The Varians did not know that these were actually just cargo handling equipment, mining tools, and communication arrays. Two beings whose ships looked like living creatures. The new Boston seemed terrifying. Captain Velen forced herself to stand up, even though her forearms were shaking with weakness. Her people were dying from the poisoned air, but she had to try to protect them from what might be coming. Unknown vessel, she transmitted on the common frequency. We thank you for responding to our call. But we must warn you that raiders attacked our ship. They may return. You should save yourselves and contact the Alliance for help. The response from the human ship confused her completely. Negative, Harmony. We are not leaving anyone to die out here. Prepare for docking. Medical team, prepare the cargo bay for incoming patients. Velen looked at her crew with wide, frightened eyes. The humans were not running away. They were coming to help, despite the danger. But everything the Alliance had told them about humans said they were violent and unpredictable. Why would they risk their lives for complete strangers? They are coming aboard, whispered Zethara from her position at the sensors. What do we do? We have no choice, Velen replied. We are too weak to resist, and too close to death to run. We must trust them. On the new Boston, the crew was preparing for their first contact with an alien species. Dr. Amy Sullivan packed her medical kit with supplies that might work on non-human biology. She was 35 years old, with blonde hair and gentle green eyes. She had trained as a doctor on Earth before joining the cargo fleet, and she had seen plenty of injuries in her time. I have no idea what their biology is like, she told Captain Rodriguez. I will do my best, but I am just one person with basic equipment. Do what you can, Amy. That is all anyone can ask. Engineer Danny Park gathered his tools and a selection of spare parts that might interface with the alien systems. Pete Washington and his cargo team loaded emergency food supplies and portable life support equipment onto hovercarts. Them had any training in first contact procedures or alien cultures. They were just freight workers trying to help people in trouble. The docking process took 20 minutes. The new Boston's mechanical docking collar had to carefully connect with the Harmony's organic docking port, which responded to the connection like a living thing. When the airlock finally opened, both crews held their breath. Dr. Sullivan was the first human to step aboard the alien ship, followed by Danny Park and Pete Washington. What they found inside made them gasp with wonder. The corridors of the Harmony were like being inside a giant plant. The walls curved smoothly and glowed with soft bioluminescent light. The air smelled like flowers and ozone, but it was thin and getting thinner. Strange organic patterns covered every surface, but many of them were turning black and withering. The whole ship is dying, Danny said in amazement. It is like a forest fire, but in slow motion. They've found the Varian crew huddled together in what appeared to be their central meeting area. The aliens were unlike anything the humans had ever imagined. They stood about 5 feet tall, with 4 thin arms and large, dark eyes that took up much of their faces. Their skin was pale blue-green and seemed to shimmer in the dim light. When the humans entered the room, the Varians pressed themselves against the far wall in terror. These were the famous Deathworlders, the violent species that the Alliance warned everyone to avoid. The humans looked strange and alien with their flat faces, small eyes, and thick, muscular bodies. Dr. Sullivan immediately noticed that several of the aliens were barely conscious. Their large eyes were dim, and their breathing was shallow. She knelt down next to the nearest one, moving slowly and speaking in a soft voice. Hello, my name is Amy. I am a doctor. I want to help you. The universal translator on her belt converted her words into the Varian language, but the aliens still seemed terrified. Captain Velen forced herself to step forward even though every instinct told her to run. You are humans, she said. The Death World. Amy looked confused. Earth? Yes, I am from Earth. Is that a problem? The gentle way the human doctor spoke did not match anything the Varians had been told about her species. Amy moved carefully around the injured aliens, checking their vital signs with her medical scanner. The readings were strange, but she could see that they were suffering from some kind of poisoning. Your air is toxic, she told Captain Valen. Something is contaminating your atmosphere. We need to get you onto our ship where you can breathe. Clean air. Meanwhile, Danny Park was examining the ship's failing systems with fascination. The biological computers were incredibly advanced, far beyond anything humans had developed. But they were being killed by some kind of viral agent that attacked their organic components. I think I can help, he told the Varians. Your biological systems are amazing, but they need mechanical support right now. I can interface our computers with yours to keep the vital systems running. Pete Washington was already setting up portable life support units and distributing emergency food rations. The big cargo handler moved with surprising gentleness around the frightened aliens, speaking in a calm, reassuring voice. Do not worry about anything, he told them. We are going to take care of you. That is what neighbors do for each other. The Varians watched in amazement as the humans worked. These were supposed to be the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, but they moved with careful precision and spoke with kindness. Dr. Sullivan treated their injuries with gentle hands. Danny Park worked on their ship's systems with the focused attention of a master craftsman. Pete Washington made sure everyone had food and clean air to breathe. I do not understand, Captain Velen whispered to Zethra. The Alliance records say they are violent and aggressive. Maybe the Alliance records are wrong, Zethra replied. Watching Danny Park successfully restart one of their failing life support systems. As the hours passed, the Varians began to relax around their human rescuers. Amy Sullivan moved between patients, treating their symptoms and making sure they were comfortable. She explained everything she was doing and asked permission before touching them. Danny Park had successfully connected human mechanical systems to the Harmony's biological ones. Creating a hybrid network that kept the ship alive, he worked alongside Varian engineers, teaching them how the mechanical components functioned while learning about their biological technology. Your people are incredible, he told Chief Navigator Zethera. Growing a ship instead of building it is genius. And these biological computers are faster than anything we have. Your mechanical systems are very strong, she replied. They do not get sick like our biological ones. Perhaps we could learn from each other. Pete Washington had set up a temporary galley in the cargo bay, preparing food that both species could eat. He discovered that the Varians were vegetarians who ate mainly fruits and grains, so he prepared simple meals from the New Boston's emergency supplies. Try this, he offered Captain Velen, handing her a bowl of vegetable soup. It is not fancy, but it will help you get your strength back. The soup was simple but delicious, and Velen felt warmth spread through her body for the first time in days. Thank you, she said. Why are you helping us? Your species does not know us. Pete looked confused by the question. He needed help. We could provide help. It is that simple. But we are strangers, and your Alliance records say humans are dangerous. 3 light years away, 6 ships moved through space like hungry sharks. They were ugly vessels, built for speed and destruction. Their hulls were painted black with red markings that looked like claws. These were the ships of the Razor Brotherhood. The most feared pirate clan in this sector of the galaxy, War Chief Krask sat in his command chair, studying the tactical display. He was a massive reptilian creature, 8 feet tall, with scales like armor and teeth like knives. His people, the Sorak, had evolved as apex predators on a harsh world where only the strongest survived. Unlike humans, they had kept their predator instincts when they reached the stars. The Razor Brotherhood made their living by attacking peaceful ships and selling the crews as slaves. They specialized in capturing gentle species like the Varians, who brought high prices in the illegal markets because of their advanced biological knowledge and compliant nature. War Chief reported his lieutenant, a smaller Sorak named Vex. Our tracking beacon shows the Varian ship is still in the Kepler 442 system. They should be dead by now. Krask smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Good, dead crews cannot resist when we board their ships. We will salvage their biological technology and sell it to the highest bidder. The Razor Brotherhood had been tracking the Harmony for over a week. They had attacked the research vessel 3 days ago, hitting it with a viral weapon that slowly killed biological systems. It was their standard technique for dealing with ships that used living technology. They would damage the ship just enough to disable it, then return later to collect the helpless crew and valuable cargo. Prepare the fleet for final approach, Krask ordered. I want those Varians alive. Their biological engineering skills will bring us a fortune in the slave markets. The 6 pirate ships accelerated toward the Kepler 442 system, expecting to find a dead ship full of dying aliens. They'd done this hundreds of times before. It was easy money. They had no idea that anything had changed back at the Harmony. Chief Engineer Danny Park was putting the finishing touches on the hybrid repair system he had created. The young human had worked for 18 straight hours, connecting human mechanical components to Varian biological systems. It was like performing surgery on a living building, and it was the most fascinating work he had ever done. This is incredible, he told Zathera, who was helping him calibrate the new systems. Your biological computers are 10 times faster than our mechanical ones, but they are vulnerable to viruses and toxins. Our systems are slower, but much more stable. Working together, they are stronger than either could be alone, the Varian navigator replied. She had been amazed by human ingenuity and determination. These supposed Deathworlders worked with a focus and intensity that reminded her of the great engineers of her own people. Exactly. Your ship should be able to travel now, but the hybrid systems will need regular maintenance. You'll need to find engineers who understand both technologies. Dr. Amy Sullivan was checking on her Varian patients in the New Boston's cargo bay, which had been converted into a temporary medical ward. All 12 of the alien crew members were recovering well from the toxic exposure. Their strange biology had responded better to human medicine than she had expected. How are you feeling, Captain Velen? She asked the Varian leader. Much better, thanks to you and your crew, Velen replied. I still cannot believe your people risked so much too. Help strangers? Amy looked confused. Why would that be hard to believe? You needed help, and we could provide it. That is just basic decency. The alliance files on your species suggest that humans are violent and selfish. Well, we can be violent when we need to protect people, Amy admitted, but selfish? Do not think so. Most humans I know would do exactly what we did. Captain Lisa Rodriguez was on the bridge of the New Boston, reviewing the repair progress with Carlos Martin. Both ships were now fully operational, and the Varian crew was healthy enough to travel. In a few hours, they would part ways, and the Harmony would continue its research mission. It has been a good rescue, Carlos observed. No casualties, successful repairs, and we made some new friends. The best kind, Lisa agreed. Jake, any traffic on the emergency frequencies? Communications Officer Jake Murphy shook his head. All quiet, Captain. No distress calls, no military traffic. Should be a peaceful trip home. That was when the proximity alarms started screaming. Contact, Jake shouted, his voice cracking with sudden fear. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. 6 vessels, bearing 27 Mark IV. The main screen flickered to life, showing the approaching pirate fleet. The ships were clearly built for war, with weapon ports visible along. Their hulls and armor plating that had been scarred by many battles. They moved in a perfect attack formation, like a pack of wolves surrounding their prey. Battle stations, Captain Rodriguez ordered. This is not a drill. All hands to emergency stations. Throughout the New Boston, 37 human crew members snapped into action. They moved with a speed and efficiency that shocked the Varian observers. Within 60 seconds, the cargo ship had transformed from a peaceful rescue vessel into something much more dangerous. Danny Park raced from the Harmony back to his engineering station, sealing the connection between the two ships. Pete Washington and his cargo team began securing all loose equipment and preparing the holds for possible combat damage. Dr. Sullivan moved her Varian patients to the most protected part of the ship. On the Harmony, the Varian crew watched in amazement as their human rescuers prepared for battle. These gentle beings who had worked so hard to save them were suddenly moving like trained soldiers. Captain Velen felt a chill of fear, but not fear of the humans. She was afraid for them. Captain Rodriguez, she transmitted, those are Razor Brotherhood ships. They are the ones who attacked us. You must flee while you can. They have 6 ships and many weapons. Lisa's response was immediate and unprintable. When the translator finished converting her words into polite Varian language, the meaning was still clear. She was not running away. War Chief Krask of the Razor Brotherhood came a transmission from the lead pirate ship. The voice was deep and menacing, with the growling accent of the Sorok species. You will surrender both vessels immediately. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result. In your crews being spaced, the Varians huddled together in terror. They knew the reputation of the Razor Brotherhood. The pirates showed no mercy to anyone who opposed them. Most species in the galaxy simply surrendered when faced with superior numbers. But Captain Rodriguez was not most species. This is Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the New Boston, she transmitted back. I have a counter-proposal. You have 30 seconds to turn around and leave this system before I turn your ships into scrap metal. The silence that followed was broken by Krask's laughter. 1 small cargo ship against 6 warships. You are either very brave or very stupid human. I am from Earth, Lisa replied. We invented both. The pirates began moving into attack position, spreading out to surround both ships. Jake Murphy was tracking their movements on sensors, calling out positions and weapon locks. Carlos Martin had taken over the navigation controls, preparing for evasive maneuvers. Captain Carlos reported, "They are trying to box us in." Classic pirate tactic. They want to disable our engine so we cannot escape. Not going to happen, Lisa said grimly. She opened a channel to the entire crew. All hands, we have 6 hostile ships attempting to capture us and our guests. They made one big mistake, though. They think we are just a cargo ship. In the engineering section, Danny Park was bringing online systems that most cargo ships did not have. The New Boston had spent years traveling through dangerous space, and Captain Rodriguez had made sure her ship could defend itself. Industrial plasma cutters could be turned into weapons. Mining charges could become missiles. Cargo handling equipment could serve as point defense systems. Weapons ready, Captain, Danny reported. All systems showing green. Pete Washington was in the cargo bay, helping Dr. Sullivan secure the Varian patients. The big man looked calm, but his hands were steady as he checked the emergency containment systems. Do not worry, he told Captain Velen. The captain knows what she is doing. We will get you through this. But there are 6 of them, Velen whispered. How can you fight so many? Pete smiled, and for the first time, the Varian leader saw something dangerous in human eyes. Ma'am, we are from Earth. 6 against 1 is not impossible odds. It just means they do not have enough ships. The first pirate ship opened fire, sending energy bolts toward the New Boston's engines. But Carlos Martin was already moving, throwing the cargo ship into a spinning dive that carried them away from the incoming fire. The ship groaned under the stress, but it held together. Return fire, Lisa ordered. The New Boston's improvised weapon systems came alive, plasma cutters designed for cutting through asteroid holes, sent focused beams of energy toward the nearest pirate ship. Mining charges normally used for breaking up space rocks streaked toward enemy vessels like guided missiles. The pirates had expected to face a helpless cargo ship. Instead, they found themselves fighting something that moved like a warship and hit like a battering ram. The first pirate vessel took 3 direct hits and began venting atmosphere. Impossible, Krask roared. It is just one cargo ship. The space battle that followed lasted 47 minutes and became the stuff of legends throughout the galaxy. War Chief Krask had expected an easy victory against one small cargo ship. Instead, he found himself fighting something that moved, like it had been born in combat. The new Boston twisted and spun through space, dodging energy beams while returning fire with weapons that should not have existed on a civilian vessel. "Target their engines," Krask roared at his gunners. "Disable them so we can board." But every time the pirate ships tried to line up a shot, Carlos Martin threw the new Boston into another impossible maneuver. The cargo ship rolled and dove through space like a fighter craft, even though it was 10 times larger. The artificial gravity inside fluctuated wildly, but the human crew seemed unaffected by the violent motion. "How are they moving like that?" demanded Lieutenant Vex from the weapons station. "That ship is too big to maneuver so quickly." Krask did not have an answer. He had fought many battles against many species, but he had never seen anything like this. The humans moved their ship as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. On the new Boston's bridge, Captain Lisa Rodriguez sat calmly in her command chair while chaos erupted around her. Energy beams flashed past the main screen and the ship shook with each near miss, but her voice remained steady. "Jake, what is our status on the enemy fleet?" "3 ships still fully operational, Captain," Jake replied, his fingers dancing over the communications console. 1 heavily damaged, 1 with engine problems, and 1 dead in space. "Danny, how are our weapons holding up?" From engineering, Chief Engineer Danny Park's voice crackled over the intercom. "Plasma cutters are running hot, but still functional. We are down to 60% on the mining charges. The cargo handling lasers are working perfectly." Lisa nodded. In 15 years of hauling cargo through dangerous space, she had learned that the best defense was often a good offense. The new Boston was not a warship, but it had been modified by a crew that knew how to survive. "Carlos, bring us around for another attack run. Target the ship with engine problems." "Aye, Captain." The Varians huddled in the medical bay, watching the battle through the ship's internal monitors. They could not believe what they were seeing. The gentle humans who had saved them were fighting like legendary warriors from the old stories. "This is impossible," whispered Chief Navigator Zathera. "They are outnumbered 6-1, but they are winning." Captain Velen watched Dr. Amy Sullivan, calmly checking on her patients while the ship spun and rolled through combat maneuvers. The human doctor seemed completely unafraid, even though death could come at any moment. "Are you not frightened?" Delan asked her. Amy looked up from her medical scanner. "Of course I am frightened. But being scared does not change what needs to be done. These pirates attacked you once, and they came back to finish the job. We cannot let that happen. But there are so many of them, and you are just cargo workers." Amy smiled, but there was something hard in her eyes now. "We are humans. Captain Velen, do not abandon people who need our help. And we do not let bullies win." The battle continued to rage outside. New Boston had disabled 2 pirate ships and damaged a 3rd, but the remaining vessels were closing in. War Chief Krask was getting desperate, and desperate pirates were dangerous. "Ramming speed," Krask ordered. "If we cannot capture them, we will destroy them." The largest pirate ship, Krask's own flagship, accelerated directly toward the New Boston. It was a suicide tactic, but Krask was willing to sacrifice his own ship to stop the humans. Carlos Martin saw the enemy ship coming and knew they could not dodge in time, Captain. They're coming straight at us. Impact in 30 seconds. Lisa Rodriguez had faced death many times in her career, but she had never faced anything like this. A massive warship was about to ram her cargo vessel, and there was nowhere to run. That was when Pete Washington's voice came over the intercom from the cargo bay. "Captain, I have an idea. Those mining charges we have been shooting at them, I can rig a whole bunch of them together and launch them manually. If I time it right, I can blow that ship apart before it hits us." "Pete, that is incredibly dangerous. If you mistime the launch, you could blow us up instead." "Captain, with respect, I have been handling explosives for 20 years. I know what I am doing." Lisa looked at Carlos, who nodded. They were out of options, and Pete Washington was the best demolitions expert they had. "Do it, Pete, but be careful." In the cargo bay, Pete Washington worked with calm efficiency while the enemy ship grew larger on the screens. He connected 20 mining charges together, programming them to detonate in a chain reaction that would create a massive explosion. Dr. Sullivan helped him carry the improvised bomb to the cargo bay doors. "You know, this is crazy, right?" she asked him. Pete grinned. "Lady, I am from Detroit. This is not even close to the craziest thing I have done." The Varians watched in amazement as the big human prepared to manually launch explosives at an enemy warship. Pete's hands were steady as he made final adjustments to the timing system. When he was ready, he looked at the tactical display and calculated the enemy ship's approach speed. "Captain, launch in 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch." Pete hit the cargo bay door controls and pushed the massive bomb out into space. The improvised weapon drifted toward the approaching pirate ship, looking harmless and small against the vast hull of the enemy vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. The pirate ship continued its charge toward the New Boston, and it looked like Pete's desperate plan had failed. Then the mining charges detonated. The explosion lit up space like a new star. 20 charges designed to crack open asteroids went off in perfect sequence, creating a chain reaction that tore through the pirate ship's hull like paper. The massive vessel broke apart in a shower of metal and fire. War Chief Krask had just enough time to realize what was happening before his flagship exploded around him. The shockwave from the explosion hit the New Boston and sent it tumbling through space. Emergency lights flickered on as the artificial gravity failed. In the medical bay, Dr. Sullivan protected her Varian patients from the impact, while Pete Washington was thrown against the cargo bay wall. When the lights came back on, Jake Murphy checked his sensors for the remaining enemy ships. "Captain, 2 enemy vessels are retreating. The other 2 are dead in space." Lisa Rodriguez felt the tension drained from her body. They had won. Against impossible odds, using improvised weapons and desperate tactics, they had defeated the Razor Brotherhood. "All stations, report status," she ordered. One by one, her crew reported in. There were some injuries and minor damage, but everyone was alive. The New Boston was battered, but intact. "Danny, what is the status of the Harmony?" "The Varian ship is fine, Captain. The hybrid systems held up perfectly during the battle. They are ready to travel whenever they want to leave." Lisa opened a communication channel to the alien ship. "Captain Velen, are you and your crew all right?" "We are unharmed, thanks to you and your people," came the reply. The Varian captain's voice was filled with wonder and gratitude. "Captain Rodriguez, what your crew just did was incredible. You defeated 6 warships with a cargo vessel." "We had help," Lisa replied. "Your ship's sensors gave us targeting data, and your crew provided tactical information about pirate fighting methods. We worked together." But the Varians knew the truth. The humans had saved them twice now, first from their dying ship and then from the pirates who would have enslaved them. They had risked everything to protect people they barely knew. In the medical bay, Captain Valen approached Dr. Sullivan. "I must ask you something. Why did your people fight so hard to protect us? You could have run away and saved yourselves." Amy looked at her with genuine confusion. "Captain, you were in our care. When someone is under our protection, we do not abandon them. That is not who we are. But the Alliance records say humans are dangerous and violent." Amy smiled. "We are dangerous, Captain. Very dangerous. But only to people who threaten innocent lives. To everyone else, we are just neighbors trying to help." Pete Washington, nursing a bruised shoulder from his collision with the cargo bay wall, overheard the conversation. "Ma'am, where I come from, we have a saying. Do not start fights, but always finish them. Those pirates started this fight when they attacked your ship. We just finished it." As the adrenaline of battle faded, both crews began to process what had happened. The humans had shown that they could be both gentle healers and fierce warriors. They had saved the Varians twice, asking for nothing in return except the knowledge that they had done the right thing. The Varians began to understand that everything the Alliance had told them about humans was both completely true and completely wrong. Humans were indeed the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But they were dangerous in the way that a guard dog is dangerous, protective of those who could not protect themselves. War Chief Krask and the Razor Brotherhood were gone, destroyed. By cargo workers who refused to let bullies win. The galaxy had just learned an important lesson about the species from the Death World called Earth do not threaten anyone under human protection. Because humans do not just rescue people from danger, they become the danger that rescues people. 2 hours after the battle ended, the rescue ships finally arrived. 3 vessels from the Galactic Peace Alliance dropped out of hyperspace near the Kepler 442 system, expecting to find the wreckage of a destroyed research ship. Instead, they found something that would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans. The Harmony floated peacefully in space, its hull glowing with renewed health. Docked alongside it was the human cargo ship New Boston, its crew, calmly making repairs to minor battle damage. Scattered around them were the broken remains of 6 pirate vessels, including the completely destroyed flagship of the Notorious. Razor Brotherhood Commander Kethmail of the Alliance Rescue Fleet stared at his sensor readings in disbelief. The Keth were an ancient species known for their wisdom and careful thinking. Kethmail had been coordinating rescue missions for over 200 years, but he had never seen anything like this. Communications officer, contact both vessels immediately, he ordered. I need to understand what happened here. The response came from Captain Valen of the Harmony. Her voice was strong and healthy, completely different from the dying whisper they had heard in the original distress call. Commander Kethmail, this is Captain Valen. Hey. My crew and I are safe and well, thanks to the heroic actions of the human cargo vessel New Boston. Captain Valen, our sensors show the remains of multiple ships in this area. What happened to the Razor Brotherhood fleet that was operating in this sector? There was a pause before Valen answered. Commander, the human crew of the New Boston destroyed them, all of them. They saved our lives twice, first from our failing ship, and then from the pirates who came to enslave us. Kethmail felt his foreheart skip a beat. One human cargo ship had destroyed the entire Razor Brotherhood fleet. It seemed impossible, but the evidence was floating in space around them. Captain Rodriguez of the New Boston, he transmitted. This is Commander Kethmail of the Alliance Rescue Fleet. I speak with you? Lisa Rodriguez's voice came back, calm and professional. Of course, Commander. What can I do for you? Captain, I need to understand what happened here. Our records show that 6 heavily armed pirate vessels were destroyed. Did your ship engage them in combat? Yes, sir. The pirates attacked while we were helping the Harmony crew. We defended ourselves and our guests. Kethmail studied the battle, debris through his ship's sensors. The destruction was incredible. Pirate ships that had terrorized this sector for years had been turned into scrap metal by a single cargo vessel. Captain Rodriguez, with respect, you are a freight hauler. How did you defeat 6 warships? Lisa's answer would be quoted in Alliance. Records for generations. Commander, we are humans. When someone threatens people under our protection, we do whatever it takes to stop them. Over the next several hours, Commander Kethmail interviewed both crews and examined the evidence. What he learned changed his understanding of the human species completely. The humans had not been looking for a fight. They had simply responded to a distress call as required by galactic law. When they found the Varians dying, they had immediately provided aid without asking for payment or reward. When pirates attacked, they had fought with skill and determination that seemed impossible. For civilian cargo workers, but most importantly, they had asked for nothing in return. No salvage rights, no payment, no special privileges. They had helped because helping was the right thing to do. This changes everything we thought we knew about humans, Kethmail told his science officer. The Alliance has classified them as a dangerous species to be avoided, but these humans risked their lives to save strangers. Perhaps our information about them was incomplete, Commander. Kethmail began composing his official report to Alliance headquarters. It was a document that would reshape human-alien relations. Throughout the galaxy, meanwhile, on the New Boston, the crew was preparing to continue their cargo run to the outer colonies. Danny Park had finished repairing the battle damage, and Dr. Sullivan had treated the minor injuries from the fight. 8 Washington was securing the cargo holds. making sure nothing had shifted during the violent maneuvers. The Varian crew prepared to leave as well. Her ship was fully operational thanks to the hybrid human-Varian technology that Danny had created. They were eager to return to their research, but they were also sad to leave their human friends. "I do not know how to thank you, Captain Velen," told Lisa Rodriguez as the two ships prepared to separate. "Your crew saved our lives and asked for nothing in return." "We did what anyone would do," Lisa replied. "We helped neighbors in trouble."
Not.
"Anyone?" Captain Rodriguez. "Most species would have waited for official rescue ships or demanded payment. Your people risked everything for strangers." "Well, that is what humans do. We look out for each other." But Captain Valen knew that what the humans had done was special. She had traveled among many species during her career as a researcher, and she had never encountered beings who combined such gentleness with such fierce protection of others. As the two ships parted ways, both crews knew they had gained something valuable. The humans had made new friends among the stars. The Varians had learned that the galaxy's most feared species were also its most trustworthy protectors. The story spread quickly through Alliance space. The official report from Commander Kethmal was distributed to every member world, but the real impact came from Captain Valen's personal testimony. She spoke at scientific conferences, wrote research papers, and gave interviews about her encounter with the humans. "They're indeed the most dangerous beings in the galaxy," she would tell audiences. "Dangerous to pirates, slavers, and anyone who threatens innocent lives. But to peaceful beings like us, they are the greatest allies we could hope for." The Varian government officially requested that the Alliance reconsider its classification of humans as a hazardous species. Other peaceful races began to express interest in contact with Earth. The term Deathworlder slowly began to change meaning from a warning to a promise that help would come when needed. 6 months later, the first official diplomatic mission from Earth arrived at Alliance headquarters. The human ambassador was surprised to find herself welcomed as a hero rather than feared as a threat. The story of the new Boston had traveled throughout Alliance space, becoming legend. Dr. Amy Sullivan received a medal from the Varian Medical Council for her treatment of alien patients. Danny Park was invited to give lectures on hybrid biological mechanical engineering. Pete Washington became famous throughout the outer colonies as the man who destroyed a pirate flagship with mining explosives. But the crew of the new Boston continued their regular cargo runs, monitoring emergency frequencies and helping anyone who needed assistance. They never understood why other species seemed so amazed by their actions. Captain Lisa Rodriguez kept the original distress message from the Harmony in her personal files. Sometimes she would listen to it during quiet moments, remembering the fear and desperation in Captain Velena's voice. She was glad they had been close enough to help. Jake Murphy continued to monitor emergency channels during his night shifts. He had saved the lives of 12 beings by simply doing his job and staying alert. It made him proud to be human. The Galactic Peace Alliance updated their first contact protocols that year. The new guidelines for dealing with humans were simple and direct. If you need help, ask. If you mean harm, surrender immediately. The change in galactic opinion about humans happened gradually, then all at once. Within 2 years, human ships were welcome at every Alliance port. Human doctors were sought after for their skill in treating trauma. Human engineers were prized for their ability to solve impossible problems. But the most important change was in how other species viewed the concept of help itself. The humans had demonstrated that true strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the willingness to protect. They had shown that the most dangerous predators could also be the gentlest healers. The Harmony continued its research mission, now equipped with hybrid technology that made it one of the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Captain Velen named her new daughter Amy. After the human doctor who had saved her life, the new Boston finished its cargo run and returned to Earth space, where Captain Rodriguez received a commendation from the Human Colonial Authority for outstanding service. She hung the medal on her office wall next to a photo of the Harmony crew, then went back to work hauling freight and monitoring distress calls. 3 years later, when a Keth research vessel was attacked by raiders near the Vega system, the the crew, did not hesitate to send their distress call on human frequencies. They knew that if humans heard their plea for help, they would come running. They were right. The distress call that had been meant for allies had indeed reached allies. The galaxy had just taken 3 years to understand that Earth had been trying to become an ally all along. The universe was a dangerous place, full of pirates and predators and countless ways to die in the cold darkness between stars. But now everyone knew that somewhere out there, cargo ships full of humans were listening to the emergency frequencies, ready to risk everything to help strangers in need. The legend of the Deathworlders had become the promise of the Protectors, and the galaxy was a safer place because of it.